you doing? So I wanted to make another video, of course. And Benjamin Solak from the Draft Network recently mentioned me, which is pretty awesome. On his article about Breakout Age, he was trying to break it down for people that might not have heard about it before. He included some of my hit rates, and that reminded me, as well as all the questions I get about it, that I haven't updated my hit rates recently. This is the image I've been posting for a while now, and updating the last 2 years about the percentage of players with certain breakout ages and different draft rounds that actually hit at the NFL level. And what's a hit? I've defined it as at least one top 24 season. You can define it a few different ways. That's just my rubber and road type measurement. Just to give you an idea of how valuable or how you can use breakout age to profile players. So just as to point this out, I give players a 3-year window to break out. So the picture you just saw is updated to the 2016 season. We are now going to include 2017. And if you're interested in this one, there's actually some interesting context. This is about the number of players you can expect to break out from any particular draft class. Between 1 and 2 quarterbacks, 1 tight end, 3 to 4 wide receivers, and 2 running backs. But those were with very high thresholds. Like that running back threshold is like 12. And as we know, we do get draft classes with 3 and 4 running backs hitting the top 12 every now and again. Like 2017's already done that. But I think that's interesting context to put around breakouts. But let me keep them simple here. I've actually been creating, in my database, I have both breakout ages with a 20% threshold and breakout ages with a 30% threshold. If you don't know what breakout age is, I just did a video on what Breakout Age is and College Dominator, so I recommend you check that one out. If not, let's carry on. I've actually been creating this little tool here. It works really well in my database here. I'm going to try and upload it to the available database that's going to be linked in the description, so that you guys can play with it a little bit and just explore the stat, right? So over here, I have the 3 little boxes, so you can choose the date range. Right now I have it locked in at the maximum from 2003 to 2017, so we're updating for 2017. But I've also got a little box here where you can decide if they have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, however many you want, I guess. College or NFL seasons with top 24 ranking. In order to qualify as a hit. Again, I'm just keeping it simple. 1 top 24 season. We'll keep the Kelvin Benjamins of the world for right now. So, the top table here is actually using the 20% dominator rating. So that's this first column in the wide receiver tab. You see all their breakout ages. And all it's telling you is the percentage of players drafted with these breakout ages in these draft rounds. So we're combining, in a very simple way, draft capital and age-adjusted production. And as you can see, having an earlier breakout age is always better, even within draft rounds. As you can see from the averages at the bottom, like age 18 breakout ages, 47% of them are breaking out with at least 1 top 24 season on average. It drops significantly after that, and really, if you don't have a breakout age under age 20, you're a concern. Deebo Samuels is currently measured at 21, but I have to recheck his birth date. But so it does happen. It's not a death knell. It's a very simple way of looking at production and age-adjusted production, just a breakout age. But it does give us enough signal that it's an easy, simple way to break down a class, and it's an important part of the story that you have to include. The only thing more important, I think, is draft capital. That combine those two, and you've got at least 95% of the signal we can wring out of statistical profiles. I really do think. But anyway, also what I've included here, as you saw, is sample size. So these aren't the hits. These are just the number of players drafted. Important to note, they never get up to 50. Like 50 would be an important threshold to hit. 50 examples to perform statistical analysis on a sample would be really important. We're never going to get there. This is like You can go to a 20-year history. You never get more than 30 wide receivers in any particular category, let alone all of them. So that's part of the noise. That's part of where we don't know for sure, and why you don't use it as a death nail. Don't draft Deebo Samuel because of his breakout age. But it does make you concerned about him a little bit. And Paris Campbell is another one from last year's class. So be aware of how many, and that helps explain things like you've got 22 age breakouts drafted in the first round. 100% of them hit, but there was only one of them ever drafted. So it's probably more likely that the trend is true, and this was just that player's story, right? So don't go into it. Don't worry about anything too far. Just take the trend. Just take the general idea. Even though the specific percentages aren't important, as much as the trend is still true, right? If it's still true, we can still use it to break down, put stories together from a wide receiver class. If it's not true anymore, then we need to stop doing that. So far, it's always been true throughout the history of the NFL, so it's probably going to keep being true at this point. This is a table directly underneath it. This is using the 30% threshold, so they have to hit 30% before they're considered a breakout. And you can see the trend is still largely true. There's actually a more significant difference between an age 18 breakout and age 19, but you still want age 18 to 19 within the first 3 rounds. Those are the key to breaking down a class. As I mentioned in that video where I broke down College Dominator and Breakout Age, like, I really encourage you to look at the 20% threshold breakout age, because there are a number of players who never break out with a 30% threshold who still break out with a 20% threshold. You want to know about those players. So age 18 with the 20% threshold is still really important. Just to go through past classes here, you've got DK Metcalf, didn't cross the 30% threshold. That's a recent one. You've also got Doug Baldwin, who I've mentioned before, or I mentioned in that last video. Randall Cobb broke out at age 18, I happen to know. And with the 20% threshold, never broke out with the 30% threshold. So it's worth exploring just to understand the full context. Just poke around. All this is free. Just go have fun. Or, scroll all over it. After you make a copy, you can do whatever you like with it. I don't care. But I find it interesting. I find it useful for drafting rookie wide receivers. So let's go look at the 2020 class, since that's, pretty much all anyone cares about right now. If you're watching from the future, we're currently looking forward to the 2020 class. If you're wondering why I'm not talking about your class, because now it's 2021, it's because I'm not there yet. This is the past, so that's it. Hopefully I'm out there still doing it for the 2021 class. Who knows? So in this year's class, there are only 2 players that broke out with an age 18 breakout age, so the best. At a 20% threshold, so the second best, I guess. And that's Jalen Reagor and Bryan Edwards. Both of them look like very different draft prospects right now. One, even getting first round buzz, I hope so, with Jalen Reagor. The other, I'm hoping to see him in a mock draft at some point. I'm hoping someone realizes one of the best players in this class isn't really getting talked about just because he wasn't at the Senior Bowl. But until that happens, you have to take that into account. Draft capital is most important. Age-adjusted production is the second most important. And he's going to need draft capital. Most players need draft capital. So that creates a very different tier separation of the guy who's got it all in terms of a statistical profile, but might not get draft capital. He has to be rated lower. CeeDee Lamb is probably pretty clearly going to be wide receiver 1, and I think most people's wide receiver 1. And again, he broke out at 19. That doesn't mean you rank him under the age 18 breakout age guy. And CeeDee Lamb's just getting a lot better reviews. We're seeing a lot more from him. We think we're going to see more from him from the combine. We think he's definitely locked into a higher draft capital. All the signals are there, and I can find no statistical reason not to love this kid. So there he is. I'm going to talk about some of these conference adjustments I've been creating later. That's why I've got some of these columns that you won't find in the database. But that'll be another video. I want to show where they come from, and that's what they're for. Just ignore them for this video. Alright, so, yeah, that's the class. Fairly standard to only get 2, maybe even 1 age 18 breakout, and no age 30% breakout at age 18. That's pretty standard. If you look back through the history, you'll find classes like the 2014 class are the ones that stand out, or 2010. Since everyone knows 2014, you might want to explore 2010 a little bit. That was another great year for wide receivers. So the 2014 class had 4 guys breaking out at age 18 and 1 guy breaking out at age 18 with a 30% threshold. And again, that put you on Sammy Watkins. So again, let's not think the 30% threshold is the iron key. Take in the full perspective. As much information as we can get, right? Since we know so little. But you can also see that most of those guys were actually great in the NFL. Paul Richardson, yeah, I fell for that. I did. It happened. But again, these age 19 breakouts, Willie Snead, Vontae Adams, there's no reason not to like a player that broke out at 19 or really even 20. After that, that's a negative. That's a very clear decision maker. You didn't break out before the age of 20. Everything else, like I'm having a hard time deciding between, I'm going to lean towards the breakout age. In fact, I'm going to lean towards the age-adjusted production, but breakout age is a fairly good single number to understand age-adjusted production. So that's worth looking at. If you just want to use breakout age, that's going to be fine. All right, and so this is the top of the class. This is organized by my rookie model, which is uses the age-adjusted production more than it uses breakout age. But breakout age is, like I say, a pretty good placeholder for it, instead of getting all nerdy and making it more complicated. So I guess I'll display this table a little more fully, since if you don't go to the database, you won't see it. Let me. All right, so there's a 20% threshold breakout age hit rates. 66% of players with age 18 breakout ages in the first round actually have a top 24 season, at least one. 30% threshold is about the same number, actually. It drops dramatically into 19. Well, not dramatically. It plays pretty much even between 18 and 19. But it drops dramatically after the age of 20. Again, I know people love to quote the percentages, and I have a 66% chance of Jalen Reagor hitting. Yeah, but not really, because we're only dealing with 18 players who have been drafted in that position. The fact that most of them have been good is great, but you're going to have to take on more information. In fact, all that other information is in the database, and also on Dynasty League Football, my home where I write for. I'm not making this video for them, by the way. I know I mentioned them a lot. Like they're actually producing Twitter content and Twitch content and video content. I just decided I wanted to make some videos, so that was not a paid ad, if it's important to you at all. Like, I just happen to like the film Breakout dance that Dynasty League Football do. So you're gonna have to take in more of that information, but don't get stuck on the percentages, more the trend, so that when you're trying to understand who a player is, you try to judge Reagor by Lamb. Everyone's going to want Lamb. Like, that's not a problem. But there are some people who don't like Reagor right now or aren't as convinced. So there's, what do we call it, an opportunity there? Where you can't trade up to get Lamb. Lamb's not going to fall to you, but Reagor's going to. And if nothing else, he was more productive for his team, which, again, doesn't mean Lamb's worse. It just means that Reagor did more for his college team. He stood out as significantly more talented than most people in this class in terms of his production because of what he did for his team. And he was doing it at a younger age with significant physical disadvantages to his competition. I don't care where he went to school. If you're age 18 trying to compete with an age 23-year-old who's been in the system for 4 years, or going up against a corner who's 23 years old and has been in the weight room for that length of time, you are at a disadvantage. And if you're not, that's because you're such a wrecked out 18-year-old, which means you're probably going to be a really wrecked out draft prospect, right? So Reagor did it with disadvantages, more disadvantages than Lamb did it. Doesn't mean he's better. I'm not saying you have to, Reagor first. If you want to, sure. For me, I think I'm going to slot him at second right now, and CeeDee Lamb's pretty clearly, there's no reason not to put him at one. Like, it's really solid. And I hear nothing from the other ways of breaking down prospects to disagree with that. Reagor, I do hear some things, but statistically, his profile is magnificent. So I think he might be the guy that right now, but we have no questions on draft capital. He's probably going to get some decent draft capital. His production's amazing, but some people don't like him because there's some things we can't put context around to decide if they're relevant at all. His breakout age and his production is definitely relevant, and it's magnificent. So he might be my, I want Lamb, but I'll be pretty happy if I get Reagor. But we'll have to see how the combine and the draft shakes out, and that's where I'm at right now. Recently posted some initial brief tier rankings for all 4 positions as well. If you're interested on Patreon, again, my Patreon is mostly free, but I do enjoy if people support me through it. But yeah, this is fun, man. I'm not looking to make it any more than that. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for checking out the video. Hopefully it was helpful or interesting, or you enjoyed seeing the updated Breakout Age or hit rates. Thanks again. Talk to you next time. Bye.